All right. G'day, everyone. Welcome to my talk today. Before we get started, first of all, g'day, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I'd like to first begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land that we're gathered here today and extend my respects to their elders, both past, present, and future. All right. Let's get to know each other a bit better. My name is Cass. Hi. Ground rules. It's Cass, Cassie, Cassandra if I'm in trouble, Cassandra Louise if you really want to trigger that childhood trauma of not getting my homework done, but that's not the talk for today. I work for Gameloft at Brisbane. I've also worked for SMG Studios. There's my Twitter, X. That's going to happen a lot today. The app formerly known as Twitter, that's the handle there, and that's my LinkedIn if you want to get to know me better. I've worked on some games with some pretty passionate communities. So I've supported Disney Dreamlight Valley, My Little Pony Main Merge, the Oregon Trail, and then with SMG I worked on Risk and Moving Out. So again, legal has advised me to say passionate communities. And that is all we'll be saying on that subject, not really. Anyway, welcome to what I call my job. Either A, the token extrovert, or B, the Dev to Player Dictionary new Parasocial edition. So in this dictionary we have such features like boundary setting, protecting your team, healthy communities 101. Unfortunately, this won't include how to write a YouTube Notes app apology, ukulele not included. If you understand that joke, A. If you do not, I want to be you. So, today's roadmap. This is what we're going to start doing. Our main objectives are twofold. First, we will demystify the concept of parasocial relationships. Are they good? Are they bad? Yeah. And second, to equip you with practical strategies for managing them, especially for your dev team. We're not only going to explore the impact on your community, but mainly on the dev team. What happens when your fans follow you? It's fun. Our path will take us through the following key milestones. One, where we are now, is understanding parasocial relationships. In the first leg of this discussion, we'll delve into the intriguing world of parasocial relationships. I'm saying that so much like a Dr. Seuss book, and it's going to get worse. We'll unravel the intricate web that connects players with games and developers, exploring why these one-sided connections exist and their undeniable significance in the gaming industry. And then 2, we'll go through parasocial relationship psychology. As we continue, we'll venture into the psychology behind the players. We'll venture into the behind the players' deep-seated attachments to the games we create, but mainly focusing on the dev team. We'll navigate the terrain of players' emotions and desires, seeking to understand why controlling these attachments can be kind of elusive. And then thirdly, we'll be talking about building healthy communities with your games community, not just via branded channels, but outside of branded channels. And then finally, we'll go on to setting boundaries and empowering a dev team. As our journey nears its conclusion, we'll take a critical turn towards the topic of setting boundaries. These boundaries are the protective walls that safeguard your team's well-being and the development process itself. We'll also explore how empowering your development team is essential to navigate community interactions confidently and safely. Our ultimate destination is a gaming community that flourishes with positivity and trust, where players, developers, and studios come together in harmony. By the end of this journey, you'll have basic community management tools under your belt, as well as some clear takeaways that you can implement at your studio or on your independent social media profiles. These takeaways will help you feel safe and confident in your online space. As we traverse these milestones, I encourage you to keep your open mind, and at the end of this talk, we'll ask questions to open up the discussion. You can heckle me then, and don't be afraid to seek me out during GCAP, on LinkedIn, Meet to Match, all of the above. Or just yell at me. I'm used to it. So, let's get topic with numero uno, and let's gauge the room. Who here knows what a parasocial relationship is? Raise your hands. I am so sorry. Okay, great. Well, not great, but we got to get through the bad to get to the good. Well, we'll talk about the good, because there are some good sides to this, and then there's the bad, and then there's the light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, we'll figure it out. Parasocial relationship is the often one-sided relationship between a fan and another person or a celebrity. In our case, it could be your game's characters. I'm looking at you, Asterion, or another person or celebrity. In our case, it would be your games. Yeah, or you. Work on My Little Pony, you'll find out. Anyway, where was I reading? Okay, and then with a parasocial relationship, it is one-sided. The other party is usually unaware that this relationship is happening. And also, the fans have a tendency to push their own values into the relationship. I do want to stress, though, parasocial relationships aren't always bad. There are some good parts we see every day within the community, whether it's harmless forms such as fan art, fan fiction, cosplay, fan interactions on social media pages, to the more sinister such as fan art, fan fiction, cosplay. I am kidding here. I mean, like, gamer rage, gamer entitlement, hate groups, social media stalking, and doxing of team members. It does happen. This is going to prepare you, hopefully. Players will often form parasocial relationships because it's safer. There's not a fear of rejection in these one-sided connections. And that's a little scary, but again, Asterion. So, show of hands, who here has a public-facing social media profile, X, Twitter, Facebook, and in it you publicly say where you work, like, hi, I'm Cassie McD, I'm on Twitter, I work for Gameloft. Go to social media profile, all right? Don't be shy, this talk isn't going to discourage you from advertising your dev status. All right, now, do any of your social media profiles have this in the bio? Opinions are my own and do not represent my employer. Okay, all right. If you don't have that, you probably will agree with me. Does practically nothing. It does nothing. Gamers, especially when they're angry, do not read when they're angry. And then if you do have just exercise caution, if you do advertise that you work for a studio, and then that is also in your bio, can lead to some things, but we'll touch on that real soon. So, can you truly mitigate parasocial relationships? It's a complex topic because it's rare. At its core, parasocial relationships are driven by the psychology of players, their attachment to the game, its characters, and sometimes the idolization of the studio and development team. When that was on the day one keynote and they said idolization of the studio, I was like, oh, validation. Yes, this is my talk. We've got this. Right. Not all parasocial relationships are created equal. There are different levels of intensity in this type of relationship. There is entertainment social, there is intense personal, and then there's borderline pathological. At each level, there's an increasing belief from the player that they are in a personal relationship with the character, game, dev, or studio. Entertainment social means that players are attracted to the source of fictional or not, because they are entertained, and this source is a route of social interaction and gossip amongst their peers. At this level, parasocial relationships can be considered rather impersonal. I'm talking, again, the fan art, fan fiction, cosplay, Asterion edits on TikTok, and just regular community engagement. That's the last Asterion joke, I swear. The next level is an intense personal parasocial relationship, or practically worship. It reflects the intensive and compulsive feelings about the source, even borderlining on obsessive. For example, a player in an intense personal parasocial relationship might consider a dev as their bestie because they are mutuals on social media, or the studio favors their opinion as they fixed a bug that the player reported outside of official sources and channels. The final and most intense level is a borderline pathological parasocial relationship. This level of intensity is evident in stalker fans. It is characterized by uncontrolled behaviors and fantasies about their sources, many times bordering on delusion. For example, a fan or player in such a relationship might say, if I called this dev's number I found on LinkedIn and reported suggestions for the game, they would absolutely appreciate it. It has happened. I've had it happen. Don't put your phone number on LinkedIn. Okay? Cool. Great. So there is positive player attachment. So this is the good stuff. Player attachment can come and take on multiple forms, some of which are beautifully positive and harmless. For example, the world. The player could have a love for the game world. Many players develop a profound affection for the virtual worlds they explore. These worlds become more than just pixels on a screen. They become a second home, a place of wonder, and a canvas for their adventures. Here we have Gameloft's 2021, the Oregon Trail. We have these beautiful 3D renders of the background with 2D characters. We try to take an ode to the classic game made in the 1970s. So a lot of characters have a deep-seated love for this game. They could have a connection to their characters. Games often introduce us to characters who resonate deeply within our own experiences, values, or emotions. These connections can be heartwarming, offer players a sense of companionship and understanding. So, My Little Pony, hoof bump. Don't have to say that anymore. Okay. Look, be grateful I didn't start this thing with, hey, every pony. I did that for a whole year. We're not doing that again. Anyway. Communities, belonging to a passionate gaming community. Engaging with a gaming community can be an immensely rewarding experience. It's not just about playing the game, it's about sharing a journey with others who share your passion. This sense of belonging fosters camaraderie and a shared sense of purpose. Creative expressions. So some players channel their attachment into creative endeavours. They create fan art, write fan fiction, create cosplays, or compose music inspired by a game. These expressions are a testament to the profound impact that games can have on individuals. That being said, that fan art is a character in the Oregon Trail about a character who has a very sad ending, no matter what you do. So that was a bittersweet thing, but lovely art. All right. And then finally, we have support and feedback. Lodging support tickets and providing constructive feedback to developers are valuable manifestations of attachment. Players want to see the game improve and thrive, and their input is a testament to their dedication. When players have a positive support experience, it can trigger the cognitive bias known as the halo effect, potentially transforming them into enthusiastic brand advocates. These positive forms of attachment are the lifeblood of a vibrant gaming community. They create an atmosphere of creativity, camaraderie, and shared passion. As developers, recognizing and nurturing these attachments is key to fostering a healthy and engaged player base. Okay. The not so good stuff. So that was the positive aspects of player attachment. Let's explore the darker side. The lines become blurred and boundaries are crossed. Trigger warning, it's about to get dark. I promise it'll get lighter real quick. The idolization of a dev team. So, what drives players to idolize game developers? Several factors contribute to this phenomenon. Some players aspire to work in the gaming industry and see developers as role models. Others seek to stay informed about their favorite games and hope to gain insights from devs' personal social media profiles. Most gamers use video games as a source of comfort and emotional release, forming strong bonds with the game and its devs. For them, game devs are seen as individuals who share their values and opinions, creating the safe space they cherish within the virtual world. This sense of shared values can further drive the idolization of the dev team. Some players may develop an intense attachment to a game or its devs, leading them to obsessively track the devs' online activities. They might believe by getting close to the devs, they can strengthen their connections to the game. So if you have your name in your game credits, they'll probably find you on LinkedIn, they'll add you on your Twitter, your Twitch or whatever, and this may happen. We'll explore a little bit into that later. Projection. Scenario. Imagine a player who's deeply attached to a particular game for years. This game has been a constant source of comfort and escape. Over time, this player has come to see the devs as kindred spirits who share their values and opinions. They follow the devs on social media and participate in community discussions. In this scenario, the player's attachment to the game goes beyond mere enjoyment. It becomes part of their identity. They project their own values, beliefs, and even personal experiences onto the game's narrative and characters. When the devs make changes or introduce storylines that don't align with the player's worldview, it can trigger a strong emotional response. The player may feel as though the devs have betrayed them personally, leading to heated online interactions. Well, this did happen to us with the Oregon Trail. So, back in 2021, Gameloft Brisbane revamped, revitalised and renewed a classic title called the Oregon Trail. One major change we brought to the game was Native American perspectives, as the Great Migration wasn't exactly a grand old time for the history books. We even collaborated with Native American scholars to implement this representation as respectfully as we could. Now imagine the outrage when this became our splash screen. Guess the percentage of anti-woke comments I got on the daily. People really said the nastiest things about something that really doesn't affect them, and they just had to click next. And I did get a lot of, well, actually, historians, and it was a little funny. But fortunately, we were fully aware this would happen, and Gameloft provided us with a lot of support when it came to preparing us for what would happen. And unfortunately, it did happen. And we still stand by what we did. It was amazing what we did. We were happy that we kept going with it. However, there will always be some unsavory types on the internet. Everyone's a game dev. Players can and will use their loyalty to the company as leverage for things they do or do not want. Consumer entitlement, or in our case, gamer entitlement, refers to believing yourself to be a special consumer who deserves special treatment, and these feelings of entitlement are linked to how loyal they feel to the studio. It is even possible for loyal players to find themselves in a frustrating loop. Not only are entitled players more likely to expect more from a studio, but they are also more likely to be disappointed by a studio not meeting these needs. When these needs of the players are not met, this can unfortunately lead to assertive and aggressive behaviour towards a dev team. If I see a review that says "attention devs, dear devs" repeatedly, a red flag goes up. I'll give you some conflict 101 management for these a bit later, but this is one of them. So can you truly mitigate parasocial relationships? No, not really. That's the bad news. You can't control how someone else feels or reacts at the end of the day. The gaming experience is profoundly an individual journey, and the emotions it evokes are beyond our direct influence. However, what we can do is foster an environment where these connections can flourish in a healthy and positive manner. Things we will touch on soon, are techniques to discourage them, dissuade, don't invalidate, encourage boundaries for the dev team, and protect your dev team in case of conflict. So, Healthy Communities 101. Depressing part is over. For now, there'll be another 2 minutes later. We'll get through it. Now that we've covered this essence of understanding parasocial relationships, let's dive into the crucial aspect, how to encourage positive player attachment without veering into the territory of invasive parasocial relationships. Building these healthy communities is an art, and here are some strategies to master it. Number 1, community manager. Hi. That's me. We are the liaisons between the community and devs, keeping any fires at bay and removing the ego out of support inquiries so no one's feelings are hurt. Let's face it, though, you might not have a community manager. If not, get one. If it's not in the budget, or if you're a lean, mean solo dev machine, keep listening. We've got some tactics for you. And if you are a community manager, I hope this talk has been somewhat validating and not bringing up any social media PTSD, and it might give you some tips and tricks to bring back to the studio. Consistent content. This is an obvious one, but often overlooked. Maintaining a consistent content schedule keeps players engaged and informed about the game's progress. Regular updates, dev diaries, or patch notes, they reassure the players that the game is actively supported. This consistency helps players feel connected and valued. Differentiate that content across your social media platforms and communication channels. Share a variety of information on respective platforms that keep what these platforms are consistent. What did I write? Share a variety of information on respective platforms, but keep what those platforms are consistent. For example, this is a serving suggestion. You don't have to follow this, but this is just an example. Dev diaries are on your website, and in-depth patch notes are on Steam. Culture-related posts are on LinkedIn. Game-focused content is on the app formerly known as Twitter. And user-generated content remains on Instagram. This diverse content keeps players engaged and reduces the need for them to pry for information. By doing this, you guide your community to the right places for updates and prevent your personal social media accounts somewhat from being bombarded with the community who's probably asking you when the next Half-Life 3 is coming out. Avoid favoritism. This is an obvious one, but most things do go unchecked with this, and I have quite a good history with this one. So imagine a game studio with an active Discord community where several community members regularly engage in discussions, offer valuable insights, and moderate the server. Among these community members, there is one individual, let's call them Player A, who has been a part of the community since the game's early days. Player A is known for their passion for the game, their in-depth knowledge, and their dedication to helping other players. Over time, Player A has become a prominent figure in the Discord community. They are given additional responsibilities such as moderating channels and assisting with community events. Player A's contributions are both appreciated by the studio and other community members, and they become well liked and respected. However, as Player A's role expands, a subtle shift occurs. Some community members begin to perceive Player A as a favourite of the studio due to their increased involvement. They feel Player A receives special treatment and access to information not available to others. This perception can lead to several negative consequences. It can lead to other community members may start to feel resentful, believing that their contributions and dedication are overlooked in favour of Player A. Which can create a sense of unfairness. The perception of favoritism can create a sense of exclusivity around Player A. Newer or less active community members may feel less inclined to participate, thinking they can never attain the same status. Studio decisions influenced by Player A, even if unintentional, might be viewed as biased. This can erode trust in the studio's commitment to impartiality and fairness. And over time, conflicts may arise within the community, with some members vocalising their concerns about favouritism. This can lead to a divisive atmosphere and hinder productive discussions. So, in this example, it's evident while Player A genuinely deserves recognition for their contributions, the perception of favouritism can have detrimental effects on community dynamics. Even if the studio's intentions were not biased, the mere perception of favouritism can disrupt the sense of equality and inclusivity that should exist in a healthy gaming community. Basically, if they are that great, invite them for an interview. If successful, put them on the payroll. Don't make community members mods on your official channels. Leave that for unofficial communities. All right? Cool. Great. If it's an unofficial community, what are you doing in there? So, community guidelines. Establish clear and visible community guidelines on all platforms where your game is discussed. If it's on Steam, have it on Steam, have it on your website, have it in your game. These guidelines should outline expected behaviour, respectful communication, and consequences of violations. Enforce these guidelines consistently to maintain a positive and safe community environment. So, what about setting boundaries? Boundaries serve as protective walls surrounding a studio's fortress. They aren't designed to isolate your team from the community, but rather to empower them, to engage positively whilst safeguarding their well-being. I'm going to drink some water. Oh, fantastic. Okay. When our devs feel safe and respected, they can channel their energy into what they excel at, making remarkable gaming experiences. Setting boundaries is like drawing a line in the sand, signifying what is acceptable and what isn't in the realm of interaction between devs and players. While many aspects of these boundaries should be common sense, it is essential to explicitly define and communicate them and to maintain a healthy and respectful environment. Identifying potential risks. Okay, so it's going to get a little sad again. I'm sorry. Before we delve into the strategies for establishing effective boundaries, it's crucial to recognize the potential risks associated with intrusive parasocial relationships. Identifying these risks is a fundamental step in proactively addressing them. Let's explore them in detail. Personal intrusion. Personal intrusion is one of the most immediate concerning risks posed by intrusive parasocial relationships. When these relationships cross boundaries, individuals might attempt to invade the personal lives of our devs. This can manifest as unwarranted scrutiny, unsolicited personal questions, or even invasive actions like doxing or stalking. Such intrusions might disrupt not only the personal lives of our dev team, but also create an atmosphere of unease and mistrust within the dev environment. Imagine a developer's dismay upon finding personal details shared online, or the anxiety caused by receiving unsolicited messages from strangers who have overstepped boundaries. So, not yet. Let me tell you a story of when this happened to me. One of my favorite hobbies on the side was live streaming. I just do it with my friends, fun, great, personal. I think it likes to help me with public speaking somewhat. But I keep this hobby completely separate to my work life. Work doesn't enter my stream life doesn't enter my work life. Unfortunately, I did have a community overstep my boundaries by tuning into my live stream. Non-stop talking about the game I supported. Okay, I can talk about the game, that's fine. And then finally dropped a comment saying, next time I'm in, insert city I live in, insert suburb I live in, we should hang out. If you do stream, I would recommend blocking your address in your comments. I would recommend blocking surrounding suburbs, popular suburbs, so it doesn't direct it to you, because you don't want that showing up. Give the offender a timeout message saying, hey, please refrain from advertising personal details, not just of you, not for the dev, but just everyone. Just avoid that. This is also a good reminder to do a regular sweep of your digital footprint. Okay? Make sure your number and email addresses aren't advertised. I did this the other day. I Googled Cassie McDonnell at Gameloft, and I found a few websites that had found an old resume of mine that did have my number in it, that did have my address in it, and I contacted them and got that removed, but frequently Google yourself. Overwhelming expectations. The dev team may find themselves under increased pressure and scrutiny. The weight of player expectations can be overwhelming, and the feeling of being placed on a pedestal can lead to burnout and stress among the team members. So, for example, this Instagram post is by the director of the Devil May Cry series. He had this really nice post on his public profile saying, praying for my son's entrance exams. Really cute. Comments, they want more Virgil. Hundreds of them. Chaos. So this can be overwhelming to your dev team, and then it can take an emotional toll. The emotional toll that intrusive parasocial relationships can exact is perhaps the most concerning risk of all. Our developers are passionate about their work, but they are also human beings with emotions and vulnerabilities. Constant exposure to negative comments, personal invasions, or overwhelming expectations can lead to emotional exhaustion, anxiety, and even burnout. As devs, we invest a significant amount of time and effort in creating the games we love. When interactions with the community become emotionally taxing, it can deplete any creative energy and hinder your ability to perform at your best. There's only so much I can do, but when they leave the community, you let your community managers know something might be going unchecked. So, strategies for boundary setting. Now that we've identified the risks, we can move on to exploring the strategies to establish and maintain healthy boundaries within your development team. Effective boundary setting is a multifaceted approach. That requires a combination of guidelines, policies, and support mechanisms. These strategies we will discuss will aim to protect our devs while preserving the positive aspects of community interaction. All right, let's delve in. So I said a thing before about having community guidelines. Have game dev community guidelines. Social media has become a powerful platform for devs to connect with their player base. However, this interaction should be carefully managed to maintain healthy boundaries. Provide your dev team with resources. This is going to be something I really keep going on about, but resources on how to engage with the community outside official channels. These guidelines should emphasize on how to handle difficult situations, sometimes some canned responses to the most common player inquiries, redirection links to official social channels if they really just want to get the community out there, and a brand kit that features your studio's current narrative of what you can and can't say with projects. Create a resource repository for these guidelines. They make sure they're always accessible to the team, especially after hours when a community manager is not present. Building healthy relationships with your games community is an ongoing journey, one that necessitates transparency, active engagement, and commitment to nurturing a positive environment where players feel heard and valued. So, canned responses, what are they? We use them all the time in customer support, and if you aren't, you should be. Saves you a lot of time. So you've heard of frequently asked questions. Get ready for frequently used answers. Say a community member comes into your private social media account, leaves a comment saying this: hey, I'm a big fan of Totally Real Game, but I'm experiencing a bug. And then you do this. Next minute this happens. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, let's try this again. Hey, I'm a big fan of Totally Real Game, but I'm experiencing a bug. You go into your repository and frequently used answers. Copy, paste, with a bit of personality if you want to spare the bandwidth, or just add the extra spice, it's fine. This is obviously just a copy-paste PR response. And then hit send. Player feels acknowledged. Yay! The player's question has been answered and they have been directed on where to ask such inquiries. You've answered the question, you've redirected them where to go on official channels. If you want them off your channel, this is a great way of redirecting them away, especially if you want to keep your social content to whatever you've curated for yourself. This resource provides your team with quick and standardized responses for common inquiries, reducing the need for extensive personal engagement. Having a readily accessible library of responses empowers devs to maintain consistency in their interaction with players while safeguarding their privacy. This approach ensures that the devs can respond to inquiries without feeling pressured to provide extensive or personal information. Make sure this repository is kept somewhere where the dev can see it over weekends, specifically when they don't have a community manager present. In your Studio Confluence or whatever, Studio Wiki, create a page for customer support. Give your team ammunition for their private channels in case their privacy is ever encroached. Also make sure this is kept up to date. Maybe whenever your community manager does their little sentiment reports, make sure that all their frequent inquiries are there. Sorry, set the standard. I had to make some really cursed screenshots for this. So set the standard. While it's natural wanting to connect with players on a personal level, it's crucial to strike a balance. Avoid sharing extensive details about your personal lives on studio-facing profiles, whether it's amusing anecdotes about yourself, your team, your personal activities. When devs divulge too much information on personal studio platforms, it can inadvertently blur the lines with the community regarding what's acceptable to discuss with devs on their personal profiles. So what you do in the studio, would you be comfortable with that community making those personal jokes on your devs' social profiles? All right. For instance, sharing humorous but unrelated personal anecdotes might seem harmless, but it can lead to an expectation that the dev team will continue to lead this type of content regularly. Likewise, disclosing any strong opinions on unrelated topics can inadvertently create divisions within the community. In some cases, well-intentioned but ill-considered posts can be misinterpreted or taken out of context, causing unintended controversies or misunderstandings. To avoid these pitfalls, it's best to maintain a level of professionalism, but I will say sometimes there is that time when you do, sometimes, yes, political statements are made on social media profiles. When you do make those, make sure your dev team is aware you're making those and maybe prepare them a little kit of what to say should they not want the community interactions coming to them, because people will react regardless of what you say. So this ensures that personal boundaries are maintained, preventing undue pressure on the dev team and preserving the positive dynamics in the gaming community. So Anime Profile Pic says, well, a bunch of numbers. Says show feet. Totally Real Studio says, we asked the dev team, we're now in trouble with HR. Anime Profile Pic comes in Totally Real Dev Cass and says, free TRS from HR jail. I go, who the hell are you? And then they continue with the joke and I am going, what is going on? Keep it consistent. But anyway, training and support. Effective boundary setting is reinforced by training and support mechanisms that equip our developers with the skills and resources that navigate complex interactions. Okay, let's explore the critical aspects. Conflict resolution. Offer conflict resolution training and de-escalation techniques. Equip your team with skills to handle difficult interactions gracefully, ensuring that the boundaries are maintained without compromising professionalism. Conflict resolution training provides devs with the tools to address issues constructively, reducing the risk of interactions escalating into emotionally taxing situations. This training empowers them to maintain composure and professionalism when faced with challenging community interactions. What's that? My PT will be so happy with me. I'm drinking so much water today. All right. So, remember the basics, okay? Acknowledge the issue. Don't pretend the people or the issue aren't there. Don't pretend the My Little Pony adult fans aren't there. This can cause the situation to continue escalating. Acknowledge the feeling. Don't invalidate the person. Oftentimes, it's not the issue. People just want to be heard and understood. Reflect specific words back. Look for keywords in their words and mirror it. Say it back, but in a more positive interpretation. The best way to make someone feel seen and heard is to make them feel you truly understand their position. Don't try to convince, just explain. Getting defensive, making excuses, or making them feel sorry for you isn't the best way to de-escalate. Agree on everyone's underlying interest. Oftentimes, people are in fact fighting for the same thing. Players who complain at the root just really want to play your game. Sometimes people are actually in agreement over the same things, but the emotions and language get in the way of that. Give it time. Give people space and time on time to feel, how they want to feel. Remember, we can't control someone else's feelings. Okay, remember your boundaries and guidelines, okay? Your rules are there for a reason. Some people out there, they're just looking for a fight. They're just looking for an argument. I'm not going to lie. I do say that some players just want to play a game, but we'll get some people who are very angry that we put Native American perspectives in the Oregon Trail. Redirect them. Send them elsewhere. Look, you don't need to be a punching bag, and your community doesn't need to be a punching bag. Give a way out. Sometimes knowing the best time to distract an audience is the best way to de-escalate conflict. Throw a meme in there, throw a joke in there, block them, delete them. It'll be cathartic. Tell your community manager, it's fine. Whatever makes sense in that context. Mental health and team support. Interactions with players, particularly negative or intrusive ones, can take a toll on the team's mental health. Providing access to mental health resources ensures that the team members have the necessary support. Oh wow, is that the time? To cope with the emotional challenges they may encounter. Prioritize the mental well-being of your team members. Provide access to an EAP such as Assure that offers confidential counselling, support and coaching delivered by an experienced health professional. Foster a culture of mutual support within your dev team. Encourage open discussions about the challenges they face and offer a platform for the team members to share their experiences and strategies. And hey, if the community is getting you down, have a chat with your friendly neighbourhood community manager. I have regular one-on-ones with my team in case this has happened. Something might be flying unchecked and we can help you out. Setting boundaries and empowering your dev team is not just about protecting them, it's about enhancing the overall community management process by proactively implementing these strategies. We safeguard our team's well-being, maintain a healthy work-life balance, and allow them to channel passion into creating incredible games. All right, that was an information overload. So basically, to conclude, today we've embarked on a discussion to explore the intricate world of parasocial relationships in game development, community management, from understanding what they are to discussing strategies for managing them. We've covered a lot of ground, but let's cut to the TLDR. Knowledge is power. It begins with awareness. Understanding parasocial relationships is the first step to effectively managing them. Armed with the knowledge, you gain power to navigate this complex terrain with confidence. 2, building healthy relationships. Cultivating trust and transparency and positivity with your gaming community is pivotal. Embrace the transformative potential of authentic engagement and the art of active listening. Remember, healthy relationships are a foundation of a thriving gaming community. Setting boundaries. Boundaries are your studio's armor, protecting your team's well-being by establishing clear boundaries, both on social media and within your dev process. Boundaries are not walls, they're guidelines. have those dev guidelines, and empower your team to engage safely while preserving their creative space. Empowering your team. Equip your dev team with the tools, training, and support they need to navigate community interactions safely and confidently. By investing in your team's well-being and resilience, you fortify their ability to create exceptional gaming experiences. Your impact on the community goes beyond the code you write, the art you create, the audio you produce, and the Jira boards you manage. It is about creating spaces where players can share their passion, where they feel heard and valued. If you would like to see any of the psychology reference list, I have it right there. If you wish to scan, I'll keep it up whilst I read this text I wrote, and then we'll go to the next slide. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for joining me today on this discussion. Your presence here today signifies your commitment to making the community in the gaming world a better place, not just for your community, but for your dev team. Let's stay connected beyond this talk. Feel free to reach out, share your insights, and continue the conversation, okay? We're all in this together, and together we can create remarkable gaming communities. Finally, Q&A time. I invite you to share your thoughts. We have 2 minutes, questions and experiences. So let's open the floor to your questions. Also, don't be afraid to ping me on Meet to Match. Gameloft is hiring. I've done my due diligence. HR, you happy with me? Go for it. Anything? Yes, you. Hello. Would you like the microphone right there?
Sorry, I can just yell.
No, please don't yell. The community yells at me every day. Please don't yell at me.
So with the favoritism, preventing that feeling of favoritism, how do you still incentivize them continue and like show your appreciation without it being projected as favoritism?
Okay, all your community are reaching out to you every day. Make sure your treatment of them is equal. So if you are going to incentivize someone, do it, but then also encourage your community to step up and do it as well. But if it is just the one person over and over, check in on your community and see how they're doing. Something's happening there. Okay. Anyone? Yes? 1 second, we'll get the microphone.
Thanks. Is there any tension between, on the one hand, community manager infers a bit of leaning on community there, but policing of staff to an extent, the idea of you've got those dev guidelines, but you might have staff that almost court a bit more opinionated discussion, for instance, on their personal profiles. Is that ever an issue?
So with the community dev guidelines, you want to give it to them so they have ammo to fight back, or just have something so they can feel confident and autonomous. And if they're feeling controlled, then that's a problem. We don't want them to feel controlled. We just want them to feel confident and autonomous. When we made the My Little Pony game, it was a question of what happens when some of these passionate fans come into the dev space and how do they react. And we had a few of our dev team going, what do I do community-wise? How do I respond to this? And I just gave them some frequently asked questions just to navigate the community out of their profile if they didn't want them there, or how to encourage positive interactions there. So we don't want to police team's social media profiles. We want them to be happy, excited, share what they do, shout it into the social media void, whatever the algorithm is these days. We want them to be proud, but we also need to make sure that they feel protected. And with these guidelines, especially say you work on an Apple Arcade game, gets pushed on a Friday, everyone's gone home, hell breaks loose over the weekend. We want to make sure that they feel protected to do something in that instance, and then on the Monday they can bring it up with their community manager, and their community manager can de-escalate from there. That answer your question? Okay, yes, hi. Can we get the microphone over to the lovely lady with the pink hair?
I wrote my question down. I'm just so forgetful.
That's okay, so am I.
With conflict resolution, how do you make that judgment call with acknowledging like a problem? Normally it's like an in-game problem, but it's like a really big severity, but only affecting a small percentage, because it's like, what if people don't know about it yet, and if you announce it or have like an auto response to it, it's like, wait, we didn't even know this issue existed.
Yeah, so if we don't know the issue existed, so if I get a small small community base telling me about the problem, that's for me to bring up with our QA team before we actually designate a response. And if we do get more of these issues popping up and go, hey, we've recognized this, we're bringing it in with our dev team, and this could be something that you acknowledge in your patch notes or your Steam notes, but do acknowledge that don't fault them if they found it, but do bring it in as an investigation. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
It's okay. Are we good? Any more questions? Am I going to cry? Can I go call into a ball now? Nope, we're good. Well, hunky-dory. Ha-ha. All right, cool, wonderful, be free.